Y'all know how it is. I guess y'all know how I am. I mean, what can I say? What can I say? It's not as easy to get started as it used to be. But we here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting. And everything is gonna be all right. We asking if our seniors are innocent today. Are our seniors innocent? Now, let me make sure that we break it down. Let me make sure that we break it down before I break it down, let me make sure that y'all good. How's everybody feeling? Are you good? Are you feeling okay? Are you healthy? Are you feeling vital? Do you have good energy? Did you sleep well? Is your family good? Are you helping out? Are they helping you? Do you need help? Let me know, man. We gotta start making sure that we take care of each other on whatever level that we can do it. You know what I mean? Whatever level that we can take care of each other, I think we should make an honest effort to do so. And that's whether we're talking about each other on this platform or whether we're talking about our family, our friends, our co-workers, our associates, our neighbors, the people that we know. We got to take care of each other because we are in these last days and times. That's what the old heads always say. We in the last days, man. We in our last days and times. Well, the last days been going on for a good while. And but at some point we're going to have to take heed because they just might know what they're talking about. They might be right. They might be right. Speaking of right, T carry right morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going directly into your sight. And my brother Ansel Jones is in the house. What's going on, my brother Ansel Jones? Ansel Jones is in the house. What's going on, my brother? Always good to see y'all. Always good to see y'all. So I just want to make sure that we do a little check-in, wellness check. You know what I mean? Let's get up under the hood and make sure that everything is okay. Let's tighten up everything. Let's check the fluids, baby. Let's check the fluids. Speaking of check the fluids. Speaking of check the fluids, I wanna ask y'all something real quick before we get into this topic. I was on social media earlier. And I saw a question, a meme of a question, and it said, if R. Kelly was to come home right now, if he was to be released right now, however they put it, would you go to his concert right now? And the amount of people that I saw say, they didn't just say yeah. It was like, I don't care what he did. He's a great artist. I'm like, whoa, too soon, baby. It's too soon. So I wanted to ask y'all, I wanted to pick y'all brain about it a little bit and ask if you're an R. Kelly fan and if R. Kelly was to be released now or sometime soon and he was throwing a show, would you go to his concert? That's how they put it. Would you go to his concert? And people were getting on people who said no. They were like, but listen, if you're a fan or if you really don't believe that he was guilty or did what they say that he did, that's one thing. But to say things like, excuse me, to me, I looked a little hazy. Oh yeah, that's much better. That's much better. There we go. Yeah, I mean, we come in clear, HD, all day. Yeah, to say that, if you're a fan or you study the legal system, you're a legal eagle. I understand if you don't think that he was properly charged or convicted or sentenced. I get that. But to say, I don't care what he did, he's a great artist. Or, I separate, what somebody did from somebody's music. And I was like, I don't know. I wrote, I don't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with his release because I know a lot of the details of the case. And I do feel like he was railroaded a little bit. And I don't think that he's totally innocent by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that he was improperly sentenced. I do think that he was improperly sentenced, and I don't think that his case was handled very well. But I wasn't going to R. Kelly shows when he was free. I know I wouldn't go to him when he got released. Like the way that they were setting up their answers were like they were validating whatever he did. Like, yeah, I'm going to come home to celebrate him. It ain't even about the music. So I want to know from y'all, if R. Kelly, before we get into the topic, before we get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, if R. Kelly was to be released anytime soon, would you go to his concert if he threw a concert? I'm thinking that the concert would be a little awkward. Or even announcing going to his concert would be a little awkward. What say y'all? What say y'all? Let me see. What up, Venus? What's good? Tori 2200. My peoples, my people. People. I don't know what you're talking about, Britain, so I'm not going to respond to that. You know what I mean? I don't know if you talk about the New York Giants quarterback, because if it is, no. Carrie said no one on his chat will be there. On his chat or this chat, I don't know. It would be so awkward listening to him sing Bump and Grind. I wasn't even looking at it from that standpoint, because he has other songs. It's not like he only made songs that were freaky. You know, he's I consider him to be the greatest R&B artist. It's not even close if you ask me. It's not even close. But I'm not going to act like I don't think he did anything wrong. The justice system is the way that it is. He did something. Did he do what they say he did to the extent of what they say he did? And was he properly sentenced? Or did his star power actually work against him instead of for him? I think so. I don't think that his case was properly handled, which is not normally the case when you have money. When you have money, you're supposed to get the best defense. I'm not sure if it worked out that way, but it didn't. The second time around with OJ, it didn't work out that way either. So, you know, they can get you. They can get to you if they want to. What up, Jamar? What's going on, my brother Time? My brother Time, all up in the house. What's good? What's good? So yeah, I don't know. I wanted to put that out there for y'all to see what kind of meat we could get on the bone. You know, so yo, you should have seen this. You should have seen the comments on this joint. I was disappointed. I was like, you know what? Y'all niggas always got to take shit too far. It's okay to be a fan. It's okay to be a fan. But it ain't okay to be a fanatic. You know what I mean? We be so willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I don't know if social media is an accurate indicator of the true feelings of the public out there, but it is the most visible part that we can see. It's the most visible measuring stick that we have available. But I was like, man, y'all wilding out. I mean, I was luckily, I guess nobody, I don't know what happened to the post or whatever, but I haven't gotten any notifications about my response or anybody else's. So I don't know. I guess y'all ain't messing with that one. That's okay. And that's fine. Oh, Ansel said there will be no best of both worlds 3 album. Says people don't want comments show up at work or their job. But I think this was in a group. Yeah, it was definitely in a group. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it. Honestly, I think that's a. Okay, says I was such a huge fan until his actions were substantiated. Okay. You said I wouldn't give R. Kelly any more of my money. Okay. Venus said no. Okay. All right. Cool. Look like I missed some of these. All right. Yeah, I couldn't. I can't be mad at anybody who feels the way y'all feel. Tom says we stopped talking R. Kelly. Yes, I still listen to R. Kelly. I'm just like Caucasian people still talk about Jerry Lee Lewis and John Wayne and Elvis Presley and the Orange Man. And I still listen to R. Kelly too. I mean, I already bought the CDs. I'm gonna listen to my music. I think he's the best R&B artist ever. I do. I think he's number one. He's not the only great one, but to try to act like he ain't do what he did in the music industry, you fooling yourself. That kind of delusion would actually, to act like he wasn't what he was, that would make me look at your negative response to him sideways. Like, if you can deny if you could deny his power in R&B and music, then how can I trust your judgment on how you feel about him? But hey, it's a free country. We can think the way we want to think. We can say what we want to say for the most part. But yeah, I'm not. Like I said, I already bought his music. I already bought it. I don't know if he came out with another album or whatever, like, I'm sure it will fly off the shelves. He has supporters. I would have to make an informed decision at that. I don't want to validate the brother. I don't want to validate his actions, and I'm sure not going to excuse his actions. He did something. I'm sure. I just don't know if he got a fair shake in the courts. One of the greatest R&B brothers ever to do it, king of R&B. Yeah, I think he's the best. Like I said, I don't even think it's close. I don't think it's close. The old heads, who we about to talk about in a minute, they would say, "Oh, hell no, no, he wasn't." I'm like, as far as being prolific, catalog, impact, number ones, crossover appeal, hard to beat him. Very, very hard to beat him. Elvis still has diehard fans too. Yes, he does. They call him the king of rock and roll. But they never charged him with anything. These cats ain't never do no time. Would you go to the concert? Is my question to you. Nah, I wasn't going to his concerts when he was free. I'd be goddamn if I'd be like, oh, R. Kelly coming home, I got to go to this show. I wasn't going to it. I ain't never been to none of his shows. I ain't never feel no kind of way about not going either. But I bought his records. Now, the question you could ask me is, would you buy his record if he came out with a new record? And I probably would. He makes good music. Can't front on that. Probably. His wife's father tried to have him arrested. You talking about Jerry Lee Lewis or Elvis? Because I'm not sure. Them nasty ass rock and roll singers, man. How them nasty ass rock and roll singers used to be back in the day. All right. Oh, Elvis. Oh, they tried to have Elvis arrested? All right. I wish they would have got it done. I would, you know what I mean? I would love to get at these king of rock and rollers, king of rock and roll enthusiasts and be like, mugshot, mugshot. And you know, we don't have a Donald Trump mugshot either. And you ain't gonna tell me that wasn't by design. Like, the United States got image problems. All right, listen. Today on the Urban Therapy with Son show, we are talking about, are our elders innocent? Are our elders innocent? Listen, I know you respect Granny. I know you respect Grandpa. I know you respect the OGs. I know that you help the old ladies up across the street. I know that you help them with their bags, their groceries, carry them, give them rides, take them places for free, offer your services, and you're supposed to do that. We were raised to make sure that our elders get the respect that they deserve. My thing is, sometimes, maybe not all the time, not with everybody, but a lot of times with our elders, we act like their ears are too young. Like, we know that when you get to a certain age, you revert back to the disabilities or lack of abilities of a child. Like, you know, you don't walk as well. You know what I mean? Maybe some of y'all have a problem keeping your head up. You may have some physical challenges, you know, health related physical challenges. Cool. But the thing is, how do we separate the fact that they are our elders? Okay, just want to make sure everything's working. That they are our elders. They came before we did. They birthed us, or created the breeding ground for us to come into this world. And you know how they say that there's nothing new under the sun. So remember, I don't know if y'all remember this, or if this happened in y'all family. I remember when the new dances used to come out, and we would show our parents the new dances that came out, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's not a new dance. They just renamed it. They just renamed it." And you would see your parents do the dances that you're doing, and you would be amazed, like, "Yo, mom, how can you do, dad? How can you?" Because it wasn't new. It was rebranded. It was rebranded. So as soon as we got on our high horse and tried to act like our parents didn't know what they knew, or couldn't do what we thought they couldn't do, or couldn't do what they could do, whatever, we got reminded. And those were just our parents. Now, when we start talking about our grandparents, and when we start talking about seniors and grandparents and super seniors, like, you know, over, I would say over out of your 70s, you know, the 80s and the 90s or whatever. And a lot of times we'll watch our mouths around them. And I think as a form of respect, we should. But a lot of times we won't speak freely around elders because we believe that their ears are sensitive, or their ears are sensitive, or their hearts are sensitive. And they're just not privy to this new thing or these new adult situations that we might have going on. Now, I don't think that you should use a lot of foul language around elders, and you know, you should be respectful and watch your mouth. At 55 years old, that's going to be me if I make it another 15 years. Am I going to forget that I was partying the 2 Live crew, NWA, going to the strip clubs with my boys, or not? You know what I mean? All of the smutting that took place in the 20s and 30s. Am I going to forget all of that? So the answer is no. I'm not going to forget any of those things. Matter of fact, a lot of those things I may look back on quite fondly, like, because I made it through it. But we don't always give our seniors the courtesy of acting like they went through it. Like, how is it that your grandmother got 8, 9, 10 kids and you acting like she ain't never had sex, or like she ain't never had sex with nobody except for your grandfather, when all of your aunts and uncles don't even have the same father? What you think? Oh, maybe you acknowledge that your grandparents had sex when they were younger, but maybe you think that they only had regular sex. Like it was strictly, they didn't even have legs in the air. They just spread them on, your grandmother may have just spread her legs flat on the bed, and granddaddy just did his thing, and that's how your mother and father got here. Like, no way could they have done any of the freaky shit that these young people or younger people are talking about, right? No way, right? Like, no way. No way was they giving head back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. They must have just started giving head in like maybe the 60s, right? Because we know it was some head being given out in the 60s. Oh, wait a minute. We saw the movie Porky's. So I guess they was giving head out in the 50s. But not before then. So, and I'm not saying that you should, go around your grandma bumping Cardi B, WAP or some shit like that and be like, yeah, was this you, Granny? Yo, Nana, check this out. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you should be disrespectful towards any seniors in any kind of way. But I'm asking about their innocence, because it looks like we go out of our way to protect their innocence. And I don't know if they innocent. Ain't it funny? Ain't it funny how we look at some seniors and we be like, I know she was a problem back in the day, because you figure she's still a sexy senior. You know what I mean? You can see the curves. You know what I mean? You can still see the curves. You know what I mean? He's 75 years old. You like, yeah, you could tell she was laying the murder game down. But then the other seniors, you be like, oh, she probably only did it missionary style, and probably never on Sundays. Never on Sundays. No Sunday sex. You know what I'm saying? That was the Lord's Day. Saturday, if you Seventh-day Adventist. Like, we pick and choose like we knew who was doing what. So I'm like, do we really think that with our parents, most of our elders migrating from the South, and what used to go on down the South, because what's still going on down South. They always been freakier down South. That's what the real Civil War was about. Up north, they was acting like it was all missionary. They was definitely doggy styling it, giving head, and probably eating ass down South. That's why the Dixie flag was Stars and Stripes, baby. Stars and Stripes. That's the untold story. You can look it up. But yeah, the North was supposed to be all bougie, and the South was like, shit, we do what the fuck we want to do. We do what we want to do, with or without our slaves. So, how is it that we are picking and choosing our elders that we think may have been? Look, you can always tell which one of our elders, especially our men, which one of those men was, you got the old head pimp, Any old head that wears shiny shoes, shiny tipped type shoes, and wears hats and suits, more than likely he was coming up out of them hats and suits often. You know, because you don't pull the panties to the side. You don't pull the panties to the side when you got on a suit. You know, you gotta remove the whole suit, man. You know, pulling the panties to the side, that's for jeans. That's for jeans. You know what I'm saying? You see how that's why Steve Harvey be talking shit. He wears a suit all the time. You know what I'm saying? He gotta come up out of the suit. You know, he ain't never pulled the panties to the side. And no quickies for Steve Harvey. It's always a big process with Steve Harvey. He can't get no, like, yo, you know how you be grinding on the chick, grind, sucking on the neck, giving out passion marks and all that shit. You know what I mean? You know, she'll let you know if you can't pull that shit down. You gonna pull, because you pull the panties to the side, you gotta make sure you get in before she shut everything down. Like, no! Pull panties. Pull panties to the side, put your pride to the side. But anyway, Ahmed, wait a minute, what's your name? Ahmed Belton? Okay. My brother's name is Ahmed. I know you ain't him because he wouldn't have said no what. He'd have been like, yeah. But anyway. Oh, man. Tori said, hurry up and get you some, son. Listen. I'm just saying. I'm saying we act like old heads they ain't come from where we. Now listen, we're gonna go some places on this show that's gonna bring everything full circle. It's gonna start making sense. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start doing it now. I've been standing up for almost 28 minutes. We 27 in. All right, let's go. So let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all a little something. All right. So if our seniors are so innocent, if y'all anything like me, I am very, very suspicious of old white men and women. Basically, old white people. Because I'd be like, especially if they from down south, I'd be like, all I be thinking about is oppression, Jim Crow, racism, discrimination, segregation. That's what I be thinking about. I'd be like, they ain't innocent. Not if you white from down south. I'm looking at you like, you ain't innocent as shit. The same people who murdered Emmett Till grew to be old. There were no convictions. Nobody ever went to jail over killing Emmett Till. But I bet you they got older, and people who didn't know that they did it probably gave them the utmost respect. Hey, old timer, how are you? You know, they say the good die young, right? Well, they live to get pretty old. They live to a ripe old age. But they had that murder. They had that murder and that terror on their record. So when you meet them as a younger black male or female, and you've been taught to give them the respect that they deserve. You may be giving respect to the person that would have murdered you back in the day, or the people who murdered your ancestors. And I'm not trying to be divisive, but it is what it is. The beauty of age is that you've already gone through what the younger people are going through, so you can teach them how to avoid the pitfalls, the mistakes, the dangers they are inevitably going to encounter as they go through life trying to get older. But those same people that you're trying to help are trying to treat you like you never been nowhere or done anything or that you don't know anything. So how do we handle that? So if I'm gonna act like you ain't never had sex before, I guess I gotta act like you ain't never hurt nobody before either, huh? Well, you know what? They didn't come out with prisons. They didn't just come out with prisons in the 60s and 70s. Now the prison industrial complex, different story. Different story. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to outline to y'all what I mean by are our elders innocent? Now, some of us had grandmothers that might have been a little loosey-goosey. She was still our grandmother nonetheless. That was still Nana. That was still Big Mama. That was still Grandma. That was still Granny. I ain't saying all of us had one, but the ones of us who did, y'all know y'all knew what y'all was working with in y'all family. You heard, as a child, you heard those adult conversations. You heard them. You heard them. Somewhere along the line, we act like we didn't hear them. Like maybe those were just isolated events. Make sure y'all hit the like button, y'all. Please make sure y'all hit the like button. Somebody wants me to just sing a song, huh? Yeah, I've never had a request for that. Tori talking about I'm backed up. You need to slow down. Because for you to even think that. For you to even think that. And so Jones says, don't ask the reason why you can't talk to me, Miss Johnson niece. Oh, look at this dickhead. This guy is like a GoFundMe Muslim because preaching the truth didn't work. Well, why didn't I ask you for any money, asshole? Where's the part where I start asking you for money? Do you see any links up there asking you for anything? When you go in my description, do you see any Cash App or Venmo or PayPal or anything like that? Did I ask you for any money? You know what? I am going to ask you something. I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to ask you to think before you speak, you dickhead. That's all I ask of you. Look, now I sang too. Carp Diem, what's good? What's good? Carp Diem says, if you bring up factual statements of the past, they will accuse you of being racist, a victim. I'm just saying, listen, you know what was weird about this whole thing? We talk about how much things have changed from how they were 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 100 years ago. Yet, when we meet those people that were around 60 years ago, 100 years ago, we act like they must have been different from all of the other people from those history books that we read, or that some of y'all actually experienced. For all my people that were born in the 50s, because some people who were born in the 50s and sometimes 40s listen to this show. I know my mom and my dad, they lived that shit. I was talking to my mom yesterday. My mom is 85 years old. And she was telling me about how she was pregnant driving through the South. And I asked her, I said, Mom, you ever been to, have you ever spent any time in Mississippi? Because my mom is from Arkansas. And for some reason, I think we was watching something on TV. And my mom, and I asked my mom about Mississippi. And because she said she didn't like going over the bridges over the Mississippi River. She was talking about how wild the Mississippi River was, and she said she didn't like going over bridges. And I asked her if she ever spent any time in Mississippi. She said no. She said, I might have traveled through there. She said, one time, me and your father was traveling through Mississippi and I was pregnant with your oldest sister. And they wouldn't let her use the bathroom. And I remember when my dad was alive, he told me about this incident too. Now, my sister was born in December of 1962. So imagine my father being a soldier, a Green Beret, Green Beret in the motherfucking army, and he's traveling with his young pregnant wife. I think my mom was about 21 when she had my oldest sister. She was turning 22 a couple of months after that. But imagine that. You a soldier, serving your country in Green Beret capacity. And you and your wife are traveling to Texas because that's where you were receiving your Green Beret training. And as y'all are driving through Mississippi, your pregnant wife couldn't use the bathroom because of segregation. Now that's 62. So this is 2026. That was 64 years ago. Wow. So, you know how when you're in your 20s, you think that being in your 60s is pretty old. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can't see yourself getting that old at that, that seems like a whole long time away. But yeah, so imagine the people who were stopping my mom from using the bathroom. She said that not only did she have to use the bathroom, but she was hungry too. Because, they were going through sundown towns where you better be out of that area if you black before sundown, or you may never make it out of that area. Not alive. So imagine the stress of a young black woman pregnant. And all of them stress hormones, they go to the baby. That's fear. Like my mom is from Arkansas. She ain't scared of Arkansas, but think about Arkansas with the whole Little Rock, the whole segregation of schools and all of that shit. The girls and the students, the black students going to the university and shit. Getting terrorized and all that bullshit. She was still more scared of Mississippi than Arkansas. She's like, I know how the white people are in Arkansas, but the Mississippi motherfuckers are notorious for stringing up motherfuckers. Anyway, those people who were stopping her from using the bathroom would be extra old now. We don't know. If we travel to Mississippi and they still live there and they're old, they old now, like really, really old now. Let's say, I don't know, in their 80s or 90s. And we like, hey, old timer. Hey, how are you? I bet you were a whippersnapper back in the day. Yeah. Yeah, I made sure your mom couldn't use the bathroom. Yeah. So, are they innocent? Why do we treat elderly people like they don't know anything? I think that we should be respectful of them at every turn, but I don't think that we should be ignorant about their knowledge, because you know how old heads are. If you start acting like they don't know nothing, they're gonna teach you something. They're gonna show you something. Damn, this motherfucker's still here? Damn, Carrie, you let this motherfucker live? Let me see. All right. He gonna die now. The fuck out of here. All right. You go bye. I'm saying bye. Don't go. What up, Miss Wims? How you feeling today? What's good?
Here, but hey, everybody, hey, chat, hey, family, others, and the bitch who had me blocked. Um, so I'm not totally sure about what the topic is, but I do want to respond to some of the things you were saying when I came in. I came in on you speaking about this last part about the people involved with Emmett Till, and if there were confessions or they lived longer than they should have. They exceeded what I think they should have, but I'm not the person to make the final decision for them at all. And then you went into sundown town. So, I live in a place where sundown towns still exist, even though they like to say they don't. They do. Anyone from here knows they do. And of course, I live in a place with a governor and a lieutenant governor who celebrate the idea of us going back to segregation, and a lieutenant governor who openly says we need to have a law against interracial marriage. And speaking about ignoring the fact that some of these people are criminals and rapists and murderers and all these things, and acting like now because they're seniors and all this stuff, we need to give them a bunch of grace. Fuck them people. And I stand on that hill. I'll die on that hill. I just had a big blowout with somebody who's been a friend a very long time as we discussed the celebration, and I use air quotes, of 250 years of this country. And this is the person who loves to say, this country is so different now. This is not who we are as Americans. Blase, scoop to scoop. I said, absolutely, this is who this country is. These experiences we have now are exactly the experiences of this country. This is nothing. This is what this country has always been, and the people in it. And the conversation, of course, switched to the idiot in charge. And this person just goes into this, I don't know, zone of crazy because they're Black like us. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because this is a person who celebrates this moron and voted for this moron twice. 3 times, actually. And they talk about all the people who support him and who his friends were. And I'm like, so I feel no shame in calling out some of the celebrities who were his friends back in the Wayback Machine. And we'll just say Whoopi Goldberg is one and Joy Behar, because those are 2 who stand out in my head. I do have a lot to say against him now. And I'm just kind of like, they didn't see it then because they were friends with him at a time when the world knew his father and he were making it clear that Black people couldn't live in their properties. So this is not a brand new moron. This is the same moron he's always been. But for some reason, your eyes were closed to it, because how did you hear this around you, but you didn't recognize it? You ignored what people were saying outside of it. So an example would be any of my friends. If other people were saying, that nigga like to beat on women, I'm going to pay attention. And I don't know if we're going to be friends under those terms. So you heard whispers that he was a racist then, but you were still his friend. You attended his wedding. You celebrated him in your conversations. You took pictures with him. You hung out with him. But now that it's not in your best interest anymore, now he's all these things. But he was all these things back then. This is not a brand new him. This is the same him it's always been. When he was over The Apprentice, I was like, this nigga's trash. When he was the man over a bunch of girls and he wanted to dress girls like adult women, I said, this nigga touches girls. He's the same man who came on the radio and talked about sex in the same sentence with his daughter, like he's talking about her mom. So he's not a brand new him. And this country is not a brand new nothing. This is the same fucking America it's always been. This country was born, bred, raised, developed on rape, theft, murder, racism, all of the words. And so are the forefathers of this shithole. They were all the things. That includes Lincoln too. But for some reason, a level of disconnect exists in people. And they want to forget the things like, I'm a proponent of, if you go to a funeral, you ain't got to pretend that the person was the best. I'm a proponent of, if they was a shitter to you, then fuck them. And I feel like you don't have to go to a funeral and just be, oh my God, they were so great. That nigga was trash. I'm only here to support his mom, his sister, whoever. But he was trash. I just watched a movie with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, and they were at their friend's funeral, and her husband was there, and they said, I'm going to kill your ass today. I've been waiting, and I'm going to kill you today at the funeral. I have never liked you. You always been a shitter. You ain't never been nothing good. And in the end of the movie, he died in front of them, and they just laughed over his body. I'm a proponent of that. Because why would I celebrate or pretend that you're greater than you've ever been? Like the bitch with the Emmett Till story, fuck her. If I had the opportunity, I would dance on her grave. There's no love lost. And I remember how it was a big deal about Charlie Kirk. I do not want to get your show flagged, so I'm going to try to minimize what I say as much as I can, but cut me off if you need to, son, and I will understand. That bastard got what he asked for. He said the words as his life left his body. He used the exact words that got him what he asked for. And some people, for whatever reason, seem not to understand that there's a huge disconnect. He was literally saying the words as his life was leaving his body that got him what happened to him. I'm just saying. So this whole thing about because this person's lived and they did all this kind of shit, blah, 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 blah. And then one day they decide, I'll get my life together. And now we're supposed to act like they didn't do this other stuff over there. I watched too many crime shows where somebody who killed somebody in the 60s when they were a teen, they done raped 3 kids and killed their mama and killed the sister. And now all of a sudden, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, they have a family and grandchildren and they're a pastor and a community representative. And people want to say, but he gave his life to God. We should forgive him. No, because I don't believe those families feel that. And I think everybody has a right to get their justice for whatever these people have done. I don't care who you gave your life to. I don't care how many confessions you made. I don't care how much you said at the pulpit. I don't give a fuck about that. Because I believe you deserve whatever you get.
Okay. So, most of the things that you said, I agree with. And when you put a lot of those things into context, I know that a lot of people were friends with palled around. I don't know if they were actually friends because I don't know what a friend to Donald Trump really looks like. I know what it acts like, but I don't know what it really looks like. A real friend. You understand what I mean? Because the way that he is now that he's more visible to us is that all his friendships are pretty transactional. You know, one hand washes the other, or if you treat me nice, I'll do something for you. But there's normally something in it for him either way. But we didn't have, Trump is a good example of this whole our elders innocent thing, because when he was doing his thing, he wasn't old. You know, if you go back into the 80s, you're talking about half of his life when he was in his late 30s and in his 40s. You know what I'm saying? So as he was a young millionaire coming of age, making moves and doing his thing, he looks like the type. He impresses me as the type that doesn't act racist, but practices racism.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference. See, people don't understand the practice of racism. They don't understand how that happens in the background. Those things happen through contracts and systems. Those systems are put in place to discriminate against people, to hurt certain people, to cut off programs to certain people, to dismantle positivity. That's the practice of racism. The act of racism may be something that you never see. And I know it has to be something similar to that, because people are quick to point out that he knows this person and this person speaks highly of him. All talking about black people and stuff like that. You don't really hear a lot about any other races. It's always about black people. I don't hear any chatter concerning him and Latinos or Asians or anybody like that. So, but yeah, so he will smile in the face of certain black people, but they're all notable black people. They're all celebrity black people. And because he seems to have always wanted to be a celebrity, it wouldn't be conducive to him to have drawn a line in the sand back then. But now, you know, after Obama became president, and now and he had ambitions of becoming president himself, or making his mark in politics to do whatever he could to negate the whole memory of an Obama presidency. That's when he knew what he had to do. He had to let the systemic racism part, or the systemic racist part of him, start to be more visible, because that was the only way it was going to work for him. And it would have come out anyway. But I can't blame all the black celebrities who may be against him now for being friendly with him before, because he was friendly with them. He was just, you know, they just looked at him as a millionaire playboy type who liked to pal around and be in the mix and be in the know and be in the spotlight. I think that's how they looked at him. He wasn't acting racist to them. They didn't, you know, we didn't have the internet back in those days. So it would have, unless you lived in New York and you knew about the lawsuits with the real estate and the Central Park 5, if you weren't from there, you weren't up on his involvement with that. So I can't be mad at them for that. I think I
can. That's why I said those two in particular, because Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg lived in New York at the time when all these things were taking place.
Okay. Whoopi Goldberg has, I mean, pardon me, unless she's done something different within the last couple of days, I thought she was always down with the white man.
Oh yeah, I think she has.
I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, wasn't she the one who encouraged Ted Danson to put on the blackface?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah, she was.
I heard stories about it, but I never really, because she's not somebody I follow like that. So
that's what Whoopi Goldberg's history. That's why I don't like her account of things and her the way she feels. I don't give a fuck. That's why I never excused her for being ugly. I'm like, oh, well, that's how you want to be? That's what side you on? You're ugly. Yeah, I mean, that was always my stance on Whoopi. I ain't forgot about Whoopi. You know how she got the last name Goldberg. She always been on that side. Ain't nothing changed. So whatever. When it comes to Whoopi, I think she's a lot more conscious these days. Too late. Too late. We gave out all the late passes. But nonetheless, the same way that Donald Trump can flip on anybody who he considers to be an enemy or who doesn't treat him nice or who doesn't tell him that he's the greatest whatever in the world. That's basically the explanation for a lot of people who have kind of flipped on him. He's shown them that he has a side of him that has existed for a long time that they weren't aware of. So yeah. Erica Berkshire said, yeah, Whoopi did that shit. And she stood on it too. Ain't no big deal. I mean, I was like, Whoopi must have some good pussy. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. That shit must be, she must be the true Scorpio. Because I'm like, this chick ain't cute. Ted Danson was said to be extremely handsome. Do the math. There's something going on. Either that or she give head like that will take your real head off of your neck. But anyway, all of this goes back to the original premise of this topic. Are our elders innocent? I'm not charging them with being guilty of anything. But when we talk about innocence, innocent can be that you didn't, I did a video, a short video on this last week. Is innocence, does that mean that you didn't do nothing? Or does it mean that you didn't know nothing? What is it for you, Kim?
I think it's more of you didn't do something. I don't know, because if you didn't know, how could you be accused of whatever it is if you didn't know?
Because you can still commit a crime without the mental element. So, like, if you were taught by your parents, for example, to lie and steal and cheat and hurt and all that kind of stuff because you were taught that it was right. Yeah, you are innocent as far as the mental element is concerned. But as far as the act, you did it. Or you were complicit and doing it. Maybe you didn't do it directly, but you were part of the group that did it. Like you were the getaway driver. You know what I'm saying? So, and please, y'all in the chat, please answer that question for me, if you would so kindly. What does being innocent mean that you didn't do anything or that you didn't know anything? And please don't try to say both. Not yet. Not for this conversation. What up, Dimples D's? What's good? How you feeling? Thanks for coming through, y'all.
Here's an example of it to me when somebody is so I knew an associate who was raised by a trash mom. To the point when he was young, a teen, if he was going to break in somebody's home and steal from it, his mother, he could call his mother to pick him up, and she'd come and pick him up with the stolen property.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his excuse as an adult to do the things well, you see how my mother raised me. But I'm like, but you weren't raised under a rock. So even though you know the basics of right or wrong, like a 2-year-old. So that's not an excuse just because you were raised with this ignorance. It doesn't mean it makes you innocent because you understand right or wrong as an adult. So I think
no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't understand. You can be raised with a twisted view of what's right and what's wrong. If you've been taught that doing wrong is right, you just because you're an adult doesn't mean that you understand right or wrong. You understand the wrong part of right and wrong. Like if your parents raise you and point to a chair and keep saying football, and they tell you that no matter what happens, when you go to school or when you talk to your friends and they try to tell you that a football is something that you throw or kick or play with, you just know that they are lying to you. Me and you, your first teachers, your coaches, your heroes. We're telling you the truth. This is just between you and I. This is a football. This chair is a football. Same thing with Santa Claus.
I think there are some things that's just, there's no way you can live and exist in the world unless you're Waterboy, the Adam Sandler's character. That you could live in the world and see the world and then still believe foolishness that your parents taught you that was wrong. Like if your parents told you the sky is really green, and then you go out and you see that the sky is blue and everybody around you says the sky is blue, then that means your ass is slow. You're on the spectrum or something. And no disrespect to anybody who's on the spectrum or with your loved ones on the spectrum, but that's the only logical sense to me. Are you just a full fucking idiot? Because there's no way you could have this. This is not allegory to the cave. You're not in the cave once you leave the cave and live in the world. That's like my cousin, as she grew up, one day as an adult, she said, my mama's been making hamburger helper wrong the whole time. I said, what? She said, I finally just sit up here and read the box. This nigga been making it wrong the whole damn time. So she lived in the world and saw things in the world and understood that her mother was doing it wrong the whole time because she's out of the cave. So that's why I say that there's no excuse when you live in the world to continue being that ignorant. There are some things, don't get me wrong, there are some things that the world can't teach you. There are some things that you just dead set on. But the rest of it, there's no excuse. Like I said, this guy's stealing and robbing. He knew it was wrong because he didn't do it openly. He didn't do it publicly. And there was a sneak part to it. He had to secretly do it. So he knew it was wrong. So he had no excuse to say, well, you knew who my mother was and how I was raised. Nigga, you don't have no excuse for this shit. Because you're not just walking in people's houses doing this shit. You know it's fucking wrong. So that's what I mean by that.
I understand what you mean, but thousands of people can be wrong. Millions of people can be wrong. And they are on a regular basis. 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. I think they were wrong. 70 million of them, I think, were wrong. Nazi Party in the 30s and 40s. They honestly believed that the Jews should be executed. They were wrong. Stalin in the Communist Party in Russia. Stalin and Lenin tearing shit up. The majority can be wrong. So the same way that your parents can teach you the wrong thing and you have nothing but confidence in them versus what the rest of the world is talking about or what the rest of the world teaches you, your parents can also teach you the right thing. And the rest of the world will tell you that it's wrong. So you can't always measure right and wrong by the majority. And you certainly can't measure intelligence by that way. The person or the people that have the greatest influence on you, they determine how you think and how you see the world. Ask the Amish. It is what it is. Ask the Mormons. It is what it is. When your world is locked inside of wherever you are. It's the Truman Show for a lot of people. But my point is, when we talk about seniors being innocent or not, or when we talk about innocence, because the legal definition of innocence, you have to have, in order for you to be found innocent, you have to be proven that you didn't commit a crime. But you can also be proven innocent if they can prove that you did not know that you were committing a crime. And that's where the insanity defense comes in. Or when they have to reduce the crime from like, let's say maybe like a first degree down to a third degree, a second or third degree. Or like in the case of murder, if you didn't have the mental element to have killed somebody, but you did in fact kill somebody, they cannot convict you of murder, but they can reduce the charge down to manslaughter. Like, for example, let's say you were hot dogging, driving your proving that you could drive your car with your feet. You didn't go out there trying to hurt anybody, but you were being reckless. So when you hit somebody and kill them, they can't charge you with murder because you did not seek out a victim. But you get that manslaughter charge all day, and a host of other reckless endangerment charges and all that kind of shit. You getting cased up good, but they can't get you with murder. Now those are the courts. On a personal level, what do we consider innocent? Because when we say that somebody has had their innocence taken away, and it ain't always children. It ain't always just children who have their innocence taken away. You have your innocence taken away when your view of the world that may have painted the world as a safer place has been replaced by showing you that the world is a much more dangerous and not so nice place to live. That's when you can have your innocence taken away at any age.
I know. I just had mine taken away at 54.
So all right. So when we start talking about these seniors, and when we say when we ask, are they innocent? Many of them didn't do anything, and many of them didn't do anything, but they knew some shit. We get on people all the time about knowing somebody was doing some foul shit, and they ain't say nothing. They ain't do it though, did they? But they ain't innocent if you ask me. You knew that motherfucker was doing that shit.
You're complicit to. I believe when you're complicit to something that, especially something heinous, that you're part of it too. If you can, no, because you can know something without witnessing it.
You can know it without witnessing it.
I don't mean necessarily that you visually have to see it.
Sometimes
But being in the
sometimes
sense
that's the
like
only way
that.
you can be proven to have known it. Like if you know if you a child on your block, I hate to go here, but a child on your block has marks on them, or they're not the friendly kid that they used to be. You can tell that they're going through something. They're acting, more reserved, uh, um, timid, quiet, they reclusive. There's something going on. That there's something going on, but you haven't seen it. But now you're innocent because you can't prove that that's what's going on, and that child may not tell you. Mum's the word. But you've always suspected. But you can't go running the CPS on just a suspicion all the time, because you know what I mean? That can get you fucked up. So, you know, innocent being what you don't know can sometimes cross over into you being complicit in certain types of ways. Yeah. Now it's when you knew you actually did bear witness and you didn't say shit or whatever, but because you were minding your business. People always tell you, mind your fucking business. Well, you did. You minded your business and somebody got hurt. You minded your business and somebody got killed. You minded your business, somebody got their property stolen. You was minding your business. Yeah, you knew. But in the eyes of the law, you're innocent. You're innocent.
Not always. Not always.
What they gonna charge you with?
Not always. Like even right now in my state, if you are a participant in a crime without being a participant, that means if you witness it and you see it and it results in death, then you can get time for it. And there are people in jail right now.
But you said if you were, but you're saying if you were involved in it. Like I'm talking about being a witness. So I was looking out my window. I saw
if you see it. They consider involvement if you see it and you don't do anything actively to stop it.
That's not the
so
way.
They consider that involvement.
That's not the way the courts work. If
hey, I'm telling you facts.
I'm telling you facts too.
In jail right now because they witnessed a crime and they didn't do anything to stop it, and it resulted in death. Wait. They're in jail.
Wait. Now explain this. Explain this in detail. How they witnessed it.
They were there when the crime took place, and it resulted in death. And because it resulted in death, they went to jail.
They were there in what? Wait a minute. Now. They were there in what capacity?
So one was there with the person committing the crime. The other lived nearby and saw what was going on and came and watched because they saw the other relative. They didn't enter. They stood outside and watched, but they didn't go call police or do anything like that. And so they too went to jail.
I see why they went to jail
right now.
I see why they went to jail. They wasn't innocent enough. They didn't it ain't like they were watching from the third floor window and they saw Junie shoot Skeet and they just saw it, because they would be innocent. You can see anything. You don't have to answer no questions to no police or nobody in that capacity. But if you're there, how are you going to prove that you didn't know anything about the crime that was taking place? And just because you weren't the shooter, how you bear you carry the burden of trying to prove that you didn't have anything to do with it. Now, there are ways that you can do that, but the problem may have been that they knew more than what they just witnessed without actually doing it. That's what that sounds like to me. They
In some states that's true, Clay. In some states that is true.
How about if you're in the car with a drunk driver and they kill someone? Are you culpable too? No, you're not. You're
in
not.
Some states you are.
No, you're not.
Okay.
And when we say culpable, what crime as a passenger did you commit?
That's just like if you leave a bar and you're inebriated and you get in your car and drive.
That's not just like that. I'm asking a simple question. What crime as a passenger did you commit as a drunk driver? What's the charge? What are they going to charge you with? Listen, this is my lane. What are they going to charge you with? Because I can't think of nothing that you won't beat. The person behind that wheel is getting charged. The best that they could do with the passenger is charging with public drunkenness. But they didn't drive no car. And because I have 3 DUIs, I know a little something about DUIs. I know a little something about all that. So with a DUI, to avoid a DUI, this is for all y'all drunk drivers out there. You know what I mean? Stay woke. The careful drunk drivers, not y'all reckless drunk drivers. But for y'all careful drunk drivers, if you get tired while you're drunk and you realize while driving that you should not go any further, get your ass out of the driver's seat and get in the back seat of your own vehicle. And when the cop comes, if a cop comes along and, you know, shines a light in the car and they see your drunk ass in the back seat, they cannot charge you with a DUI. But if you have your ass in that driver's seat with the car, you could have the keys on top of your on the roof of the vehicle. You're getting a DUI because you're behind that wheel. The only person that gets charged is the person behind that wheel. We can't make the law what we want it to be, and there are certain laws that don't have state regulations or that that change from state to state.
Maybe it's county. I don't know, but these things happen. And there are people who are in jail for these type of situations. Is it an overall majority? No. But there are people sitting in jail for these specific instances. So what I'm saying is not 100%, but there is a percentage where these things happen.
What I'm saying, all I'm saying is this: we have an obligation to get it right. And without good legal representation, you can wind yourself up in jail for doing anything without good legal representation. But if you have decent legal representation and you do your own homework, they're not going to be able to charge you with some shit that you didn't do. Now, the question I ask is getting cased up for what you didn't for what you knew. There are ways that can happen, but it has to be done in a certain type of way. If I'm with you while you commit a crime, it's going to be hard as shit for me to prove that I didn't know that you did it. I might get charged with something, but I'm not going to get charged with what you did. So.
That's my point. You still gonna get charged with something. You're not gonna be completely innocent. And again, it's not in every case. That's just like teachers. If a teacher witnesses or a teacher suspects something is going on with a child and something happens, they don't report it, the teacher can be held liable.
What I'm saying
or a teacher who knows another teacher did something and they keep it to themselves. Now the whole school can be held liable.
That's right. It's in your contract. So that's a whole different situation. What I'm talking about is when you the law carries the burden of proving you guilty without a reasonable doubt. But if they can create, create, let me get it right. You have to be proven without a reasonable doubt. So if
that's what the words say. That's what the words say. We know that's not a fact.
It works. It works when it works. Without if you got a public defender, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. If you don't want to,
try you black in this country, it ain't always going to work with the best attorney.
Well, it's not always. It's not always. It's. I hate to say this shit, but it's more of a class thing than it even is of a race thing. Because there are plenty of black people who get off because they can afford to. And I don't mean that they bought their innocence. They made sure that they had a lawyer who went through their case and found the way to get them off. That they could either create reasonable doubt or they could prove without a shadow of a doubt that you were innocent. Because there are more white people in jail than black people. And most of those white people in jail are poor, just like the black people. So, if you're broke, if you can't afford good legal representation, there's a good chance that like income it kind of evens the playing ground. Unfortunately, it evens the playing. It's about the greatest balancer of race relations, of black and poor and white and poor. Yes. It's pretty close in proximity. You gotta excuse me because I had to read books like the rich get richer and the poor get prison. Very enlightening book. What was the y'all should check out this book. The book, The Rich Get Richer and the Poor Get Prison. Okay. Yeah, it was this book. By Paul Layton, Jeffrey Ryman, and Paul Layton, Jeffrey H. Ryman, and Jeffrey Ryman. So only $4.79. You know, see? But that's a very, it will give you a very, very easy to read perspective on how the justice system works when you don't have a lot of money to invest in it. That's and they have all kinds of examples in there, black people and white people. Like, yeah, you ain't got no money. That's your ass. But getting back to the topic about these seniors and whether they're innocent or not. Once again, I want to make sure that I let y'all know that I'm not here to say like senior citizens are bad or that your grandma was a hoe or nothing like that. What I'm trying to chronicle or find out is, are we being ignorant towards the wisdom of our elders? Because we tiptoeing around them like they don't know shit, or like they haven't done shit, or they haven't heard about shit. And my grandmama talked a lot. And so my granny was lovable as hell. But was she innocent? Hell no. Hell no. Straight from the backwaters of Louisiana. Or as my mom called it, Louisiana. It was what it was. It was what it was. So, a teenage mother coming from a teenage mother. My great-grandmother was about 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old, tops, when she gave birth to my grandmother. And my grandmother wasn't much older than that when she gave birth to my mom. What we talking about? So, at the very least, she was sexually aware. We didn't have to tiptoe around those conversations, but we did because it was a respect factor. And I have no problem. I only see the benefits of being of being respectful. Nah, Clay, you good? You good, my dude? Yeah. Listen, man. Listen. If I don't give y'all the benefit of my experience, then what's this whole thing for? I ain't up here to flap my gums and you know what I mean and walk away like, yo, I told them. Fuck all that. If we don't know the truth, we can't teach it and we can't live in it, and we'll get ourselves fucked up behind it. I've stood in front of many courtrooms. And when you sit in a courtroom for a whole day, some of y'all may not have had the benefit of sitting in a courtroom all day, just listening to cases. Like, damn. First question they ask every defendant: what's the level of education that you finished? What level of school have you finished? In the city of Philadelphia, man, I ain't know so many people dropped out of high school. This shit was fucking crazy. You know how proud I was to be like, college, motherfucker, bachelor's degree. What? Other than that, I was told to remain silent, and I did. But every defendant I saw go before me, 10th grade, 8th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, but no graduation, 9th grade. And you start to see how it go. Low education and poverty leads to what? Prison. At the very least, it leads to getting cased the fuck up. I was in there with my degree because I'm a fuck up. But not anymore. Nope. Left them games mine. It cost me a lot of money though. So, some of y'all have grandparents that have done time. They probably didn't do time because they was fighting in the civil rights. Speaking of civil rights, I don't know about y'all, but unfortunately, ain't none of my people on either side of my family ever fought for civil rights. I ain't bullshitting. None of them. You know what I mean? I come from a family of coons. But not me. Like, the buck stops here. No more cooning in this goddamn family. But it's true. On my mom's side of the family, I asked them. I interviewed all my aunts and uncles. Yo, did you, you know what I mean? Did you march for civil rights? Were you in the civil rights struggle? No, I wasn't in that shit. Dad's side of the family? No, dad's side of the family, we had some, Nation of Islam Muslims, but they not in the civil rights. They wasn't civil rights. And, you can look at the Nation of Islam in a lot of different ways. And unfortunately, I've evolved. I always knew that it was something really great about it, but there was something there. As soon as you start talking about going up in a mothership, the spaceship, I'd be like, oh, God, it's a cult. God damn it. All of this pro-black shit just to be a cult. God damn you. But it's true. So, yeah, some of y'all might have parents that may have gone to jail, grandparents that may have done some time. Some of y'all may have aunties, grandparents, parents that may have been a little loosey. You know what I mean? Some of y'all have seen your grandparents and maybe your grandmom and your granddad. I mean, your grandmom and maybe your mom, bringing men in and out of the crib. Food was put on the table though. How many times have we heard certain parents told, listen, these men want to get between your legs. Don't let them get between your legs unless he pay for it. And there are a lot of different ways to say that. But you think she started that with you? Pay to play? We can look at it in a lot of different ways. We can look at it like it's right. We can look at it like she's a fucking prostitute. A lot of different ways to look at it. Might be 70, 80 years old now though. But she lived by that. She lived by those rules. Juke joints down in the South. we talk about prostitution being the world's oldest profession, but nobody want what their family to own up to being a part of it. Interesting. My granny, man. My granny was a motherfucker. All right. When my stepdad drank and smoked his whole life. He drank and he smoked. This for y'all brothers out there. You know what I mean? Listen, y'all do what y'all do. But just know, if you drink heavily and you smoke cigarettes, you ain't gonna have no dick by the time you like 50. It's gonna be a wrap. Or you gonna be having those light erections. So my stepdad was a few years older than my mom. She was born in 41. He was born in 35. 1935 and 1941. So she was 6 years younger than him. So by the time his shit started going down, she was still, in her 40s. You know how women in their 40s and early 50s are, they strong, real strong, and seasoned, well seasoned, with a lot of sauce. But anyway, so my mom told my grandmother, like, yeah, he can't really do nothing no more. He can't really do nothing no more. My grandmother told my mom, ain't no way no man gonna lay up with me in my bed every night. He ain't giving me nothing. That's what she told her. That's what she told my mom. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but he better do something. Was my granny insensitive? Maybe. And she wasn't innocent either, but very nice lady. It was a barrel of laughs. I miss her. I really, really, really miss her. But hey, she wasn't a bad person. She didn't run around hurting people and all of that, but she wasn't, she was sexually aware. Wasn't no denying it. She wasn't innocent. Not in the very least. She come okay. Yeah, that's what my grandmother told. My grandmother lived to be 81 years old. She probably told my mom that shit sometime when she was in her 70s or some shit like that. Ain't no man. I'm like, so was he gonna? My grandmother took credit for killing my grandfather. She did. She said, I knew that he had a heart condition and he ain't had no business. He ain't had no business doing it, but I made him. I made him do it, and he didn't die. He didn't die in her, but she took credit for it. Like, oh damn, I done killed Luke. But that's what she called my grandfather, Luke. He died before I was born. I killed Luke. I'm so sorry. But I was getting my Nola Darling on. I had to have it, goddamn. So she wasn't innocent. Machine faked the funk. So if my beloved grandmother wasn't innocent, you think I'm gonna give all of these old biddies the credit for being innocent? No. She ain't invent the wheel. All of her kids were by my grandfather, except for the youngest one. Tea good as shit. And the youngest one was the light skinned one. Shit happens. You know what I mean? Come from a family of hooligans. Fuck it. But yeah, Tori said bootlegging. Yes. Come on now. Running liquor. That good corn. The good shit. That shit's still the best liquor. I don't even drink no more. But I recognize that clear shit they got going on down, you know, in them distilleries. Knock your socks off. It's the good shit. You know, it's just like weed these days. Of course, the street grade weed is better. The street grade weed gotta be better. The street grade anything is always better than when they legalize it. When they legalize it, they gotta make it safe. And if it's safe, it ain't no fun. So these seniors, maybe the safe ones wasn't no fun. We might be dealing with street grade senior citizens. What you think about that, Kim?
I don't know. I've never been one to just think a person because of their age or anything like that made them innocent. I don't know. What the fuck is this dirty trash?
Okay. All right.
I just have never been that person. Because when you see stuff, you know, you got people in your family, you see them and you like, yeah, I keep on talking about them like they great. They're not.
Yeah.
So, you know, here's an example. Right now, my siblings and I have to take my mother's brother to court. And I'm struggling with it a little bit. Because the little Kimmy is in disbelief that she has to take somebody who is her favorite person to court for what they've done. And I struggle because my brothers are like, I want this bastard to go to jail. And I struggle because he's a senior citizen. And I'm like, damn, he ain't fit for jail. He's in a jail. He's not fit for jail. However, you stole $200,000 from the family. Like, you fucking loser. Now we gotta take you to court. I struggle with it. When I say my innocence is lost at 54, I'm still stunned that this person would go so low to do this. Like, this is the lowest of the low. You've done some shit, but this is the lowest of the low. Like, you fuck everybody in the family? And it's not even about the money anymore. Now it's just based on principle. Because who the fuck were you raised by? I know who I thought you were raised by, but did you branch off and get raised by wolves? So that's an example why the rest of the world around me, who also knew this same person, they're stunned too. And some who don't know are speaking on him like, oh, he was great and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that bastard's trash. He is a piece of fucking garbage. So I never been the one. Growing up, I saw a bunch of people around me who I was like, My uncle, the pastor, caught this nigga cheating with my friend's mom. He tried to pay me off. Don't say nothing. I went to tell my mother immediately. Caused a rift between she and her sister for the rest of life, but bitch ass nigga, this my auntie. So I'm just saying. But because he was a pastor, everybody gave him a pass on everything he did like he was the greatest. So that's why I say I've never been one to be like, oh, because they older and all this, that makes them a saint. They didn't live this, fuck that, fuck them. Never ever have I.
Maybe that's why they call it a pastor. No? He keep getting a pass. A pastor.
That's what it seems like to me. That's why they call them that, because they give them a false ass pass. Why they do all the dirt. No, I don't. I don't care who you are.
Well, I think we have to make sure that we distinguish the line between respect and ignorance. You understand? Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with respecting your elders. I think that it's only a good thing to respect your elders. But I think that when we make ourselves ignorant to what they may know or what they may have done or even what some of their intentions may be. Listen, I'm sorry. I don't see how you can witness the actions of Donald Trump and ever look at senior citizens in the same way again. I don't see how. That motherfucker's a whole 80. And I consider him to be giving us an education that we would be foolish to ever reject again.
Yeah, I don't even go with that whole respect your elders thing, because I came across an old bitch who I was like, lady, you 122, I'm ready to knock your ass out. So I can't even go with that. My auntie and them like to use that and quote it from the Bible. Her favorite is honor thy mother and father, but she don't do the rest of it.
Well,
she don't do the part about don't bring your kids to wrath. She don't do that part. She just stuck on the honor of mother and father and believe. Like their version of respect for adults is always saying, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir, doing that stuff. But you watch them do everything under the sun wrong. You still supposed to give them a bunch of respect? No. Like I said, I met an old ass lady. She about 6 million. She could have been Bob Barker's great grandmother. She was real disrespectful. So I gave her the respect she deserved, and none of it was respectful.
Well,
I can't just give you respect because you old. Fuck your ass.
Well, until you give me a reason not to respect you, I always respect everybody. I don't care. I don't care if you're a newborn baby.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, but I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But when you give me a reason to not respect you, age plays no part in it.
Well, I don't know if what you're talking about is lack of respect. Because if you've respected them and then they've chosen to violate you in some type of way, your response to them is not disrespect. You can call it something else. You can call it matching energy. You can call it retaliation. You can call it a lot of things. I call it disrespect when you don't treat a person or talk to a person respectfully without them violating you in any type of way. So it's like, if you take a racist example, when one person of one race or ethnic background mistreats somebody of another race or ethnic background simply because of their race or ethnic background. They've already acted disrespectfully from the beginning without that person provoking them to do that in any type of way. That's different. If you're showing courtesy and courteousness to somebody, and they in turn treat you disrespectfully, when you maybe go a little too far with it, I'm not sure if that's disrespect. It's hard to mitigate or measure somebody's response to disrespect. As a Leo, I'm sure.
Some people believe look, if it's the person is a senior, some people do believe because they're a senior, you're supposed to treat it with kid gloves.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. And a lot of if I know that your disrespect is coming from an unwell place, I can give you a pass. I can give you a pass for that. If I know, this nigga crazy, that's why he acting like that. However, I'm also going to know that the only reason you could disrespect me in the way that you're disrespecting me is if you have practiced that all your life when you weren't crazy or before you had a stroke. When
the argument I had with this person, one of his biggest arguments is, Psycho Orange Loser is an unwell man. He's unwell, so you gotta lean up a little bit because he's unwell. Fuck him.
No. Unfortunately, he can't get none of that because he knows how to turn it on and turn it off.
Thank you. That's what I say too.
Not only that, but he has chosen on many occasions to be disrespectful to who he chooses to be disrespectful to. So can't, maybe when he's 90 and no longer president, he can get some type of concession from people. But it's going to be hard because he's done a little bit too much consciously. Like and going back to what we were talking about with the whole court thing. It's hard that you're innocent, especially and if you're trying to prove that you were mentally incapable of doing something, or if you tried to use the insanity defense, they're going to look at all of the times that you made conscious decisions. That's why it's hard as fuck to win a case based on insanity. It's hard as hell to win an insanity plea case. It's hard because somewhere along the line, you did things like you calculated the risks of doing something. Like you can say, now, it's a crazy thing because whenever you are angry enough to kill somebody, you actually aren't in your right mind, but it's temporary. So people who don't understand the law will say, well, yeah, it's a temporary insanity. That's not the temporary insanity that we're talking about. Everybody experiences anger, depression, confusion, sadness. These are normal. Well, with the exception of depression, these are normal emotions that can be exacerbated by stress, lack of sleep, hunger, poverty, certain conditions. The thing is, when you make conscious decisions to do right or wrong during those during those times, how are you going to single out the one time when you went off the rails and did some shit? So like, yeah, you can say I was temporarily insane when I shot somebody or hurt somebody. Yeah, but you were conscious enough about it to hide the weapon and to run.
Yeah.
You ran and you hid the weapon. And you brought the weapon there for that purpose. At least that's what it sounds like, because that motherfucker wasn't doing nothing when you shot him. I believe.
They used to let that one little boy off. What's his name? The one who went to the Black Lives Matter event, killed people.
Yeah.
Little boy.
It's like Tupac and Juice would have been able to plead temporary insanity when he shot Rodamans. But he said Riverside, motherfucker, and that's what made him culpable. Like, you knew what you was doing. Had he not said Riverside, motherfucker, he would have been innocent if he ever stood trial for that. Same way as that ICE agent said stupid bitch after he killed Renee.
Yeah.
Renee. What was her last name?
I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Correct.
The stupid bitch. Nah, motherfucker, that wasn't part of your job. You were angry. And talking about she tried to hit you with a car. No, the fuck she didn't. And since when does shooting somebody in the head stop a car?
So if anything, it makes me move more erratically.
And it did. It did. It drove erratically and hit another car, and it didn't hit him because he wasn't in the way of it.
No.
But it is what it is. All right. Let's go. Let's go to the hold on. What Clay says, after taking care of my mom, and when she got older, gave me a heart of compassion for most elders I see, helping out, holding doors. Now, if she snaps out of snaps, get your hands off of me, then I take it all back. Okay, I got you. All right, let's go.
I understand that. I understand that because remember, there was the black lady who was a I can't think of the title, but I'm just gonna say nurse. I can think of the title right now. But she cared for elderly people who may be dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's or something. I remember it was a lady who, I'm sure in her life at some point she was probably a racist, but she had a moment of where she didn't have any clarity at all, and she spit on this lady. Now a knee-jerk reaction would be like, I'm gonna knock your old ass out. When you think about it, it's just gonna be a knee-jerk reaction. But this woman was a professional. And she understood that this woman was in and out of reality in her mind. So she didn't respond to it the way probably somebody like me would have, because I don't know if I could be able to do that. That's why I've never chosen that profession. She understood that. So I can understand that when it's somebody who's dealing with anything that's neurological. I can get it then. But just the average everyday person, nope. And that's why I don't give his orange food no pass, because he knows what the hell he's doing. That little boy who got off at the Black Lives Matter event, he knew what he was doing when he left his home. Mm-hmm. He should have never walked. What's the other guy?
That was literally premeditated murder.
Yeah, the other guy, George, is his name George? Oh, God. I might be saying his name wrong. You know what I'm talking about, the guy down in Florida who shot...
Zimmerman.
Yeah, George Zimmerman. Yeah, he knew what he was doing too. So that's what I'm saying. Those kind of people, no, I don't give no pass. I hope the alligators eat the shit out of that motherfucker one day. That's it.
I'll never understand how come George Zimmerman is still alive. We got some fake revolutionaries out here. All right. Let's go to the poll question. When is the appropriate age to stop your kids from damn, I wrote this shit wrong. Stop your kids from seeing you naked. That's what it's supposed to say. That should say when is the appropriate age to stop your kids from you naked. Oh fuck. I'm sure y'all understood what I was trying to say. All right.
I think as soon as they old enough to understand.
Well, you know, I think it's an important question because some people would try to kick it like, well, you know, well, if you look at the majority said they should never see you naked. And it's not always possible for that to be the case.
No.
It's just not. It's just not always possible for your children not to see you naked. You may be the only one. You may be taking care of your child all by yourself. So your child may have to bathe with you, you know, in certain cases. If you breastfeed a child, they are seeing you naked in some ways every time they eat. So you may not be fully naked, but you are definitely, you know, displaying, you know, what other women wouldn't display in any other circumstance. So anyway, all right. So 19% said after breastfeeding is done. That sounds reasonable to me, kind of. You know,
Me too.
but some people stop breastfeeding at about, they might only do it for a year. And
that's his mandatory. Thank you. Rittenhouse. That's it. Thank you.
Carl Rittenhouse. Yeah. And okay, 19% also said when they start asking questions. For me, that's the best answer.
Yep.
To me, that's the best answer. Like, you know, when they start pointing and shit, well, why you? Oh, okay. Got you.
Listen, my little bitty cousin, when I had to care for him, because he was a Tasmanian devil if you left him alone for too long. So if I get in the shower, I have to take him in with me. And I remember one day out of the shower, I'm in there getting dressed up. And he was like, are you putting lotion on your legs? I said, yeah, you want something for you? So I give him some lotion. He said, you putting lotion on your arms? I said, yes, you want some too? I give him some. And all of a sudden, this little bitty person took his hand and swung it all the way back to Mississippi and slapped me on my butt and said, you putting lotion on your booty? I said, that's the end of this. We're done. We're done with this little boy around me with no clothes on. Because he's doing the most.
Well, you know, that means it's natural curiosity of the human body for kids.
Mm-hmm. And that's when it's time to change.
That's when it's time. Okay. 25% said age 3 to 5 if there's no breastfeeding. That sounds reasonable to me. Mm-hmm. Now, 38% said they should never see you naked.
That just doesn't seem realistic. I mean, I guess people are good at it, but that just doesn't seem realistic, especially when you're parents and you have little kids. It just doesn't seem realistic. And it almost doesn't seem healthy because you have to have a space to have the conversation. You have to be able to introduce several conversations with your children. And you're not going to be able to do that unless they're exposed to it. You don't want the world to expose them to. You don't want a stranger to. You don't wait till they get in school. That's the job of being a parent, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm not saying my way is the right way, but it doesn't make sense to me for children. They have to experience some things in life and know about them. And that's when you start, is when they're little. And this is the teaching period for a lot of things. This is when you teach little boys, hey, little boys don't have this. And little girls do, and you don't touch the little girl. And she doesn't touch you. And nobody else touches you. Just your parents. I mean, I'm just saying, but you know, some people get it. Do them.
Yeah. If you don't live with your kids, like you're not the custodial parent, it may be possible that they never see you naked. However, I wasn't the custodial parent of my daughter, but I used to keep her as a baby. Mm-hmm. So, I also used to wash her up whenever it was time to take a bath. And I knew it was time to stop doing that. When she got a little older, she was like, I still want you to wash me up. Like, nah, baby. Yeah. Now, I understood. You know what I'm saying? I understood because it was like that. How do you say it? From me washing her up before, it was routine for her. Yeah. But it was like once she got to that age, and I think it was had to be about 4 or 5, something like that. And I was like, nah, baby, you gotta do it by yourself. But I'm gonna be right outside. And I want you, I showed her how to, her mom had already showed her how to wash, but I gotta show you how to wash because Mom dirty and I'm clean. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. But so making sure, because kids will sometimes not cover things if you ain't around, you know what I mean? So I had to make sure that she knew exactly what she was doing, and I had to give it a once over. I had to make sure she passed the smell test. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Make sure she ain't one of them kids who just, fill up the tub and just, use her arm and the to make
like little boys do often.
Little girls do it too. I thought that was just a little boy thing. It's little girls too.
Dirty little girls.
Dirty. You know what? It's not that they want to be dirty. It's just that they defiant about taking a bath. Because the bath time means bedtime. You know what I mean? And once they start making that connection, you know what I'm saying? Like if you don't take the bath, you ain't going to bed. Yeah. Ooh, somebody done told you wrong.
In most households, you're gonna get your ass whooped and you're gonna take the bath, and now you're really going to bed.
Yeah.
Now you passed the midway.
You flunked the smell test after being in there for half an hour or more. Mm-hmm. Like for all of that time, you could have jumped your dumb ass in the tub and got it over with. Because you know what happens? They get in the tub, mad. And then they don't want to get out the tub. They in there, looking like a prune after they been in there so long, waterlogged and shit. But yeah, all right. So we good. Kim, thanks for calling in. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate you as usual. You know what I mean?
Thank you, and everybody stay safe in the storms. I know I say it often, but unfortunately, Mother Nature does not like us right now, and the storms are hitting every way possible. And for those who get ready for this fucking heat wave, brace yourself. Please have some cold things available. And you can't just hydrate with water. You need to also hydrate with the food you eat. That's it. Have a good one, everybody.
All right, have a good one, Kim. Be safe. All righty. All right, y'all. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious June 28th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box, Carolyn Martin, and also Robin Harris, Les Little, Dr. Janine Laurie. She grew up right around the corner from me. And my girl, Dr. Sabrina Townsend. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all a good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious June 28th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the damn, to rock out. Rock on and do the damn, rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing and do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings and do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, elders love you like tender what? Just because you're old doesn't mean that you never heard nothing. Yo, can you get so bold? I'ma always give you respect because that's the way I was brought up. So we gonna connect. I love you, my elder. I love you, my older. I love you, my OG. You see me? And when I see you, I see wisdom. But I hope you didn't do another crime in due time. And I hope that you didn't treat my loves like slime. Man, my fam, yeah, you know who I am. God damn. When the community starts to go down, why do we always broke? When the community starts to go down, yeah, we always blame the old, but the young now. No, I still did it. Fuck it. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow night, Monday, going into Tuesday. So make sure y'all come through for the Daily Go Getimism show. Don't let me bail out. Don't let me fail out. Don't let me get on the tracks and like rail out. Yo, let me get it right. Let me bring it back. Let me make sure that y'all understand that my attack is not based on the other things that would make me on some other shit and with some other kings and these other queens by any and all means. I'm going to make sure that I sit on that ass like old jeans and I'm never going to get faded, but I know I made it. I'm doing this thing. I'm just like a sports get traded sports player. Yo, I say the mayor of my town is a black woman, but she ain't down. She reminds me of a clown. And I'd be mad as hell at her damn ass. She can't fuck around. I was once proud and singing loud. Yo, what up, Miss Parker? What's going on? That's word life. I'm out of this motherfucking, yo, this shit is trite. I'll holler at y'all, man. Y'all have a good afternoon. And don't let nothing get in the way of that. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel. Peace.